Captain's Log Supplemental. Well, looks like I'm going to have to be replicating a whole new set of uniforms, not just for me, but for half the junior officers as well. Every year, we've had this kind of tradition to have a pie eating contest on the holodeck. It's all in good fun, state fair of old-timey Earth kind of setting. We're all just cranking down on some blueberry pie to see who can finish it off. Usually one of the non-human crew members with the 14 stomachs and whatnot. They're the ones who usually win, but we're all having a good time. But unfortunately, it's still a new ship and there's still a couple of kinks to work out. The projectors on the holodeck shifted by about 5 degrees at an angle, but the force field generators, which control the people inside the hologram, they didn't respond appropriately, and so suddenly everyone's inner ears completely rebelled, and we all started vomiting uncontrollably. There was just blueberry pie everywhere, and I don't envy the ensigns I assigned to actually clean up the holodeck, but I had to give pretty much everybody a couple of days off while we deal with this.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another week of Captain's Log Supplemental. As always, I am Rob, and I am joined by my friends and co-hosts / producer, Chris.
Hey there.
Stanford.
Hi.
And Mariah.
Hi there.
So, Captain's Log Supplemental is a Star Trek rewatch podcast. Each week, we're watching a new episode of Star Trek, marching forward in chronological timeline. This week, we are watching Enterprise, Season 2, Episode 24. But before we dive into that, anybody have any small talk? Anything fun happening?
I'm sick.
I like how Rob can't not have like a rigid plan. So even the small talk has to be like coordinated.
You're welcome.
Yes, we have our 2 minutes of scheduled shooting the shit. All right.
Yeah, schedule small talk. Yeah. Time's up. Okay.
Mandatory fun. So I go to the doctor yesterday. Okay. And so I get like nosebleeds almost every day from this like one spot in my nose. And it wasn't, Rob, was it you? Somebody that I know was like, they could just fix that, right?
I think Rob did make the suggestion, yes.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, yeah, they could just cauterize your nose and then you'll never bleed again. And I was like, well, shit. So I talked to my doctor because that's what you're supposed to do. You go to your primary care physician, which you should all have. And he's like, yeah, we can get that thing. He's like, here's a doctor. So I went to my doctor, which coincidentally is my soft-spoken ear doctor.
Yeah, it's your ENT, right?
Yeah, I did not realize that it was going to be the same like person. So I had to briefly relive my soft-spoken ear doctor nonsense back when I went deaf in the one ear. But yeah, he's like, yeah, we can get that taken care of. And he looks at my nose. He's like, oh, yeah, there it is. Now, I don't know if y'all have had this done. Have either of you had this done?
No.
I have not had it done. I almost got my toe cauterized, though, because of an ingrown nail that wouldn't stop.
That I have had done. Mine was like chemically cauterized, though.
Yeah, they didn't take like a creme brulee torch to my nose. Like, it was chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so, okay.
Creme brulee torch.
So they're like, okay, well, we're going to numb you up. So they jam this fucking thing in your nose that's like soaked in lidocaine. And it's as uncomfortable as that sounds. Sure. And they're like, we'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes. See ya. And they leave. And they give me like a dribbling cloth because it dribbles down into your mouth. And like, I don't know if you've ever had lidocaine in your mouth. So basically my lips are numb too.
Yeah.
And I'm dabbing at my mouth the whole time like an old timey consumption patient. And So they come back in and they're like, all right, this is yeah, we know where it is. We're going to take care of it. And he pulls out these matchstick looking things, which I guess are like silver nitrate plus some other shit on the tip. I don't know. I was looking at the bottle, but I wasn't paying that much attention.
Yeah, for the burn.
It took him 3 fucking matchsticks to get through this huge ass vein apparently I had like in my nose.
Jesus.
For those at home, Matthew has a very large
It's huge. Oh my God.
schnoz.
He could do it from across the room. Like he could see. Well, first, actually, he comes in and he's like, oh, wait, hold on 1 second. And he leaves and he comes back in with a headlamp on. Like he's going to go fucking spelunking up there. And he has this grin on his face, like, yeah, headlamp's easier. That was funny, though. And he, like, so it hurt. Like, it hurt. I don't know, because it's lidocaine, so it doesn't hurt. It's not like a sharp pain, but it feels like someone's, like, pinching the hard part of your nose, like, really hard.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and then he jams this, like, cotton ball up my nose, and he's like, leave this in until tomorrow morning, or at least until bedtime. I'm like, all right. He's like, this will just soothe it. I'm like, okay. And he's like, are you going anywhere after this, or are you going straight home? And I'm like, well, I've got one quick errand to run, but then I'm going home. And he's like, you don't want to go anywhere because you'll look ridiculous. I'm like, okay. He's like, also, theoretically, you could fountain blood at any moment, but that probably won't happen.
You know those Japanese animes where they get horny, they shoot up and blood out their nose. That would be you.
So,
man, was that why you were bleeding out of your nose every day?
Yeah,
that was the real secret.
Because Mariah is too pretty.
Yeah, that's
so
what it is.
I'm at the UPS store because I gotta like do some business there, which makes me sound 1,000 years old. And like, it's getting harder to breathe because the cloth is getting completely. And this is Mariah. You're gonna want to take your headphones off for a minute here. The cloth, the cotton ball in my nose is getting completely soaked in snot. Like it's and by the time I get home, it's like if I touch my nose, it squeezes out some snot. Like it's just saturated.
Oh, God.
And the fucking
Okay, stop.
Just
Can I
stop with the details? Oh my God.
Stop. I need to tell you all something I need to share. This is what I saw. Apparently he texted me and I didn't get the text because I was being a single parent.
Oh my God.
But
yeah, Reba McEntire here while I was at the fucking doctor's.
He came rolling into the house, and now that I know it was a cotton ball, it makes more sense because it was a cotton ball sized bolus of yellowish green.
Yeah.
Coming out of one. Oh God.
Because I'm like, well, he wants me to keep this in until bedtime at least. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like power snot it out of my nose like a fucking rifle shot. So I like take the paper towel and just dab my nose a bit, and it just falls out from the sheer weight of it. Right.
Nice.
So like, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, that's just a ball of snot at this point. Mariah,
could you breathe really well again?
Mariah's over there throwing up. Yes, so it's fine. You know what it feels like, and I know why he said like this is for soothing. It feels like when you breathe in and it's really fucking cold outside and it hurts to breathe through your nose. That's what it felt like, and it felt like that all day. Now, it's not comfortable, and so I ended up having to breathe through my mouth most of the day, which is fucking exhausting. I don't know how people just breathe through their mouths anymore. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, you see, when you have nothing but allergies all year round and you have no other choice, you get kind of used to it.
Yeah, well, I have a cavernous schnoz, so breathing through my nose is pretty straightforward. So I was so exhausted just from the ordeal and the minor but consistent pain throughout the day that I went to bed early and shit. Like, oh, it was bad. But it's better today. But anyways, get your nose cauterized if you want to fucking not bleed, I guess.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, when my doctor said, like, you should go get your nose cauterized, he's like, what they're going to do is they're going to burn away the blood vessel. And then he goes, don't worry, you have plenty of blood in your nose. It's not going to hurt you. And I'm like, you had that, like, prepared from the hip, doc. Did someone ask you, like, oh, my God, then I won't have any blood in my nose?
Oh, man.
Also, Chris is sick or whatever, but...
Yeah, the friggin' nerve in my shoulder is still pinched, which is not fun.
Yeah,
Poor-
that sounds awful.
We're all really old.
Yeah,
right
y'all
now.
are doing great.
I mean, my nose is
old.
better. That shit.
So anyway, Star Trek. So yeah, we're on Enterprise season 2, episode 24, First Flight.
I feel like it is incumbent upon us to reflect on the fact that people consider this one of, if not the best episode of this show.
Yeah, well, it's because LeVar Burton directed this. I saw his name flash up across the screen. I was like, ooh, LeVar Burton.
Yeah,
he did.
he sure did. Actually, seeing that LeVar Burton directed this makes me feel like I need to put the directors in for all of our episodes on how we rated them and see if like there's some interesting data there.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. So yeah, this episode kicks off with T'Pol trying to convince Archer that a fully dark matter nebula is unlikely to really exist. Archer asks Trip to rig up some charges that are just going to like magically show them that dark matter is around them somehow.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
know.
Nothing
Science
excites
stuff.
me like getting bombarded by a Metreon particle. Like, I don't understand.
I'm surprised that Reed didn't want to get in on the explosives.
There were so like a few actual members of the crew like that were in this episode.
Yeah, Hoshi had one line.
Yeah,
It's
so
like-
she had one line. There was no Reed, no
No Travis,
No-
no
no
Doctor.
Flux. Yeah,
Yeah. This was like Enterprise spring break.
But
So yeah, the plan is to use these charges to light the nebula up like a Christmas tree, if there's actually a nebula there at all. We then get another sad call from Admiral Forrest. Turns out one of Archer's old friends, A.G. Robinson, passed away while hiking up Mount McKinley, now known as Denali in Alaska.
this is the first part where I could not tell until the very last act whether or not his name was AG or HE. Because they kept saying it so fast. I'm like, is it AG or HE?
yeah. AG.
Like, for the sake of my notes, as soon as I heard them say that, I had the same problem. I was like, okay, I have to look this up on the wiki.
Who calls somebody
It was gonna drive me
AG?
crazy.
It's a weird thing to call somebody.
Like what is
Oh.
what does the AG stand for?
Does it
Like
matter?
Andrew Garfield? Like what?
Andrew Garfield.
High explosive? It's probably his Andrew Garfield. That's the way these fucking people think.
It is. Yeah, and then we kick into some Faith of the Heart.
Which, by the way, small note here, trivia note. They referenced that he died on a hike or climbing Mount McKinley.
That's not what
Mount
that
McKinley-
shit's called anymore.
As I say, in 2015, it was renamed to Denali by the Department of the Interior, which was initially named by a gold prospector, Mount McKinley, in support of then presidential candidate William McKinley in 1896. It was referred to as Denali for centuries by the Koyukon people who inhabit the area around the mountain. So they renamed it to that.
Did you both just pull Rob at the same time?
Did you
Wait,
already
did
say
you
that?
Say that?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
When did you say that?
When I said that he passed away while hiking up Mount McKinley, now known as Denali in Alaska.
Oh.
Oh,
Well.
man. You know what? I don't believe you because I didn't hear that and Chris didn't hear that. However, it is recorded. So I will put in a mea culpa here in the editing booth if it turns out Rob is correct.
I swear to God, if you edit that out just to make
I
me
will
look like
not.
an
I
idiot.
will not. I will not. I will even leave this part in where I promise I won't.
Do it.
So yeah, we come back after the break. Triff offers to accompany Archer in the shuttle pod. Why they're taking the shuttle pod into the nebula, I don't really get, but sad Archer wants to take a sad, lonely trip into a sad nebula so he can be sad all alone.
He
sadly.
is so
That is what this is.
mopey. So mopey little Archer. It's
So
poor
we're just gonna watch water polo on my way to the mission.
poor AG, whatever.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for him, T'Pol throws the book at him and points out that a captain isn't allowed to leave the ship unaccompanied, so she's coming along for the ride.
She's like, you're not going on the shuttle by yourself. You're the fucking captain.
I know.
And this is where I'm like, oh God, I hope this doesn't get gross. And it does not. So kudos to them for
Yeah.
that. But having watched this the second time today, thank you for that, Chris.
You're welcome.
I'm actually starting to think that like T'Pol threw the book at him just because that's something he would listen to. I think she was actually just going to do her job and like kind of bolster his mood a bit. Like he clearly
absolutely.
needed someone
Yeah,
to talk
definitely.
to, which I did
Yeah,
not
was the
really
same-
get the first time.
That was the same thing I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a good
That
job.
was my impression. She was because like he had shut the fucking door.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving this bitch.
And she just opened it up like,
She's
here
like,
we go.
Nope.
I got some sandwiches for us. Let's go.
The only thing that would have made this better is if he kicked her out and then they wound up like transporting her in.
What?
Shit.
T'Pol's reaching out to Archer, trying to help comfort him, but Archer's having none of it. Finally starts opening up, and then we get a flashback.
Yep, a
Stanford's
flashback
favorite
to
storytelling method.
Yeah, it's a flashback to like about 10 to 12 years ago when everyone was the same age.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
in
so
San Francisco.
I found some trivia on this episode, and it confused me because it said this episode occurs in 3 different periods of time: 2143, 2150, and 2153. I assuming that most of this episode occurred in 2143 in the flashbacks. 2150 must be like at the end before Archer gets assigned as captain.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's what 2150 was, but
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to AG.
so yes,
It's 602.
yeah, it's exactly 10 years ago. Yeah, is
Yeah,
when this
okay.
most
10
of
years
this,
ago
yeah.
when they're all the same age.
Yeah,
There's like not even a modicum of effort put into making them look a little younger.
no darkening the hair.
Or like just like
No.
more hair.
They're just more hair. Yeah,
It's fine because
different haircut.
they're piloting the early warp vessels, so they're not aging appropriately because of time dilation.
Stop it.
His like the pilot he's going up against is also like an old white man in his 50s.
Yeah,
like
he's
it's not
old,
even
yeah.
like
He's like graying in his temples.
Or just he's also had like a really bad receding hairline. Although that's not specific to older people. Sometimes younger people get that as well. But still,
Yeah.
what's that even like?
I
Speaking
don't know.
of the competing pilot here, Admiral Forrest has to let Commander Archer down easy. and lets him
Excuse
know
you.
that-
It is Commodore Forrest.
I was gonna say this is
Oh,
actually
that's right.
yeah, Commodore. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is actually
Commodore Forrest.
it's another small bit of trivia. This is only the second time
I
that
saw that
Commodore happens in Star Trek. Like that's the second time. The first time, can you guess what it was?
Original series.
Close.
first
It was in the
movie.
animated series.
Oh, okay.
This is the only other time a Commodore is referenced in Star Trek.
That's really funny.
And that one dies, if I recall correctly. I also read that trivia. I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
The ever elusive crewman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a Commodore Forrest, I apologize, has to let Commander Archer down easy and let him know that Archer isn't going to get the first flight for the NX program's first Warp 2 test. We get a shot of the 602 Club, which I guess is a club for pilots in the program.
Hollywood loves the idea of like the pilot bar, even though
Yeah.
like I've been to pilot bars. They're just old guys drinking, just like in every other fucking bar. Like it's not
Right.
different.
It's actually
think-
go ahead.
Like Missoula's like the first town I've known of that actually had one, and it's because it's like in the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the 602 Club was named after a former spot in Madison near the University of Wisconsin, which was a hangout of Brannon Braga. So,
Yeah, I was reading that.
yeah.
The other interesting bit here is we get to meet the waitress Ruby, who's previously been
Yeah.
mentioned by both Trip and Reed in their recollections of their romantic interests back on Earth.
Oh yeah, Ruby. I remember now.
Yep.
Mhm.
Although, well, yeah, I guess they're in San Francisco, so that would be near the academy.
Yes. Specifically, that both Reed and Trip were intimate with her.
Intimate. Ah, Ruby.
Hey,
Most
Trip's trying to
generic
marry
name
her.
for redheaded. Yeah. So Archer tries to take a cheap shot at AG, but Robinson winds up buying Archer a drink instead, showing that he's the better man here. AG also tells Archer that the reason he didn't get it was because he wanted it too bad. And
But he
basically,
tried too hard.
Yeah, he tried too hard. and he was like too by the book. They're looking for someone to be a captain, not just a pilot, right?
I have so many issues with like everything in this fucking scene. Like, first of all, what's with this geriatric piloting program? Like, Aldrin and Armstrong were 39 when they landed on the moon. Like, our age. They were not like these fucking like silver dapper gentlemen in their 50s. Like, what the fuck?
Even that feels like,
and that is, well, it is older than you would expect because like they had full military careers before they became astronauts.
Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Because like military test pilots, they're going to be They're going to be military people, you know?
Right. And like a lot of people, they just wind up ranking out of being a pilot because like you can't be, you know, an admiral and still, you know, pilot fighters around.
Right. That's why Tom Cruise just stayed captain the whole time in that dumbass fucking sequel to Top Gun. Also, he's like, do you remember Buzz Aldrin's first words when he got on the moon? No, because nobody remembers the second person on the moon. Magnificent desolation was what Buzz Aldrin said as he first stepped foot on the moon.
Oh, very nice.
There you go. Suck it, Archer.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't have to look that up. Although I'll always remember it now.
Yeah. So
you worked too hard. Sorry.
Yeah, he's trying too hard. So back in present timeline, T'Pol points out that AG and Archer don't seem like the close friends that Archer's describing him as in his recollection. This was the first of a couple of times where we jump back to the present, and I feel like it was just to give other actors something to do. Like, to your point, there aren't a whole lot of, you know, our regular crew in this episode. And some of the bits, not all of them, but some of the bits with T'Pol felt a little forced. I don't know.
I think as a storytelling perspective, I think they were using it as a way to allow time to pass in the flashback.
Right. Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Now, whether or not it was
that test flight
kind of forced, I don't disagree, but I think that was the overall kind of effect they were going for.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, you know what? Given, I can't remember which episode it was we were talking about over the last couple of weeks where it was very difficult to tell the time had been passing, which I think was also directed by Burton. Maybe they also noted that and did some
Cogenitor.
Yeah.
Cogenitor, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Burton. Come on, man.
So, flashback again to the day of that first test flight. Archer is running mission control, apparently.
Why?
Because that's what
the fuck is he doing? What the fuck is he doing?
Stop. That's actually a reference to the Mercury program, because during the Mercury program, the astronauts who tested the ships, they were the ones who were most familiar with it, were most easily able to communicate on the level with the astronaut that was in the ship. So that is actually how it was in the Mercury space program.
They were the flight director? I don't believe you. They may have been a point of contact. I don't disagree.
They were
Capcom, but they're not the flight director, because he is making decisions. He is a flight director in that sequence. He is not just the communications.
Was he the flight director, though?
He's the one who was giving him all the orders.
I still think it's just more that Capcom role that he was fulfilling, not flight director. He was communicating them. I don't know if he was technically making the decisions.
Yeah, it also gives you someone recognizable that's in charge, I guess.
But we got Forrester and a couple of Vulcans in robes. Like, that's recognizable enough.
Vulcans in robes. Yeah, so they wind up getting held up by some technical difficulties. AG was getting impatient, just kind of in orbit. But they wind up getting clearance to proceed anyway, which will come back again later.
Why? I have another question, though.
Okay.
Why doesn't AG, why doesn't he have a co-pilot?
Yes.
Because it's expensive to lose 2 humans when you can just lose 1.
All right, I'm just making sure I understand correctly, because like I know the X1 and some of the other supersonic test flight platforms, which is kind of what they're kind of basing some of this on, had only 1 person in them because they were small enough to only be able to fit 1 person. They had a whole nother ass seat there. Like, put a person in
as evidenced by like the second ship they took out the episode. Yeah.
Listen, Cockrum didn't have a co-pilot.
Yes, he did. He had 2 of them.
No.
It was Riker and Geordi. Speaking of LeVar Burton, he was there. He should know.
No. That was.
They had to be able to put the blame on AG. Okay, shut up.
Yeah, and that was out of the drunk retelling of Cochran. So you can't trust him.
Fuck everything about that shit.
Oh, good. So yeah, AG manages to make it to warp 2.2 after ignoring orders to let off the gas.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
You're skipping so much here because, like, why was there a bump at warp 2? What is special about warp 2?
Why not though?
It's like the sound barrier.
Why?
The intermix was off.
Yeah, it wasn't right. It was wrong. Everything was wrong.
Warp 2 is just 10 times the speed of light. That's what warp 2 is. Like,
Yeah, but there's that magic point, and you hit it, and then your intermix has to be different. So
okay, and that's another thing. Star Trek actually very specifically pointed out that your intermix does not ever change. That the proper ratio is always 1-to-1. Like
In
that was
modern engines.
That was a specific modern.
This was
engine.
a poorly defined Archer engine.
Fair enough. My mistake. I retract.
Yeah. It's
Also,
like the difference between like diesel and gasoline fuel.
And this is another thing where like Hollywood doesn't understand how test pilots actually work. What was he testing? Test pilots don't just, I want to see if the fucker will fly. They test very specific things to very specific specifications. And when they have that result of that test, they come back home and they do other stuff. But he was just testing to see how fast he can go. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
No. It's
testing?
totally a thing.
But go fast.
So this whole notion that he went renegade and broke apart his ship and shit was like, it's just dumb. It's not borne out in any kind of reality.
Yeah, but it's a show.
Yeah. So anyway, he went renegade and blew up his ship. So as he returns to impulse speed, rather forcefully, he's got to pull the ejection button, which that sounds exciting. A worried Archer calls back for him, doesn't get a response. Back to the present, Archer and T'Pol enter the space where the Dark Matter Nebula allegedly is and start firing off charges with no result. So, well, I shouldn't say that. There are some very bright fireworks, but no Christmas tree. So Archer, then starts to recollect that AG was the first pilot to successfully eject from a starship at the warp barrier and lost one of the two NX test ships in the process.
This scene is so fucking stupid because they flashback and they're taking his helmet off in the garage. And like, I guess he rode the chair back from Jupiter. Like he was in Jupiter and they didn't take his helmet off until he got back to San Francisco. He's like, you try riding home in one of those things. And they like pan over to this. It's basically just a chair with like some metal strapped. It's like an ejection seat. He rode an ejection seat all the way from Jupiter to this garage in San Francisco.
They had a little space tug get him.
And they didn't let him ride inside. Test. They made him stay inside the chair. Like, you just think about what you've done, dumbass.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that set dressing. Like, that was so stupid. They could have just had him walk in looking kind of chagrined, Maybe wearing one of those like foil emergency FEMA blankets.
Listen, the set designers were very excited to get to build an ejection seat.
That tiny little shitty chair.
They're having a lot of fun.
Which I'm not sure where that was in the ship.
So that was my main question with it, actually. I'm like, that's not what the inside of that ship looked like. Where was that?
I'm guessing, like, my thought was maybe the chair went into the floor, like on an episode of The Thunderbirds, and, like, it was below him.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Anywho, we flash back again, this time with a Lieutenant Tucker, who's interjecting himself into a conversation after one of the Vulcan ambassadors says that their engine design needs some work.
He's also the same age.
Also the same age, yeah. I'm telling you, man, time dilation. So Trip and Archer take another trip to the 602 Club. Archer tries guessing Ruby's future children's names, because apparently that's going to determine who she marries, like some weird fairy tale, I guess. I don't know. Commodore
it was
Forrest,
a woman in Star Trek Enterprise. She can't have an actual role.
I guess.
She said that, told them to break it up when they were fighting, though. I mean,
Yeah, too late,
is.
though. She took her sweet-ass time telling them to break it up.
So Commodore Forrest joins him at their table and continues giving Trip a hard time, deservedly so, I would say, for interrupting the conversation with the Vulcans. He then also informs Archer that the Vulcans and Starfleet both want to put the NX program on an indefinite pause and start redesigning their engines from scratch.
I guess
hours later,
one guy designed this engine. It was just Archer's dad. Like,
yeah, it was just Archer's dad.
He just he fell on the toilet and then drew it on a napkin, and then made a DeLorean with it. Like, it's very strange that he is getting all of the credit for this. And also, should Archer be testing a project that his dad built? That feels wrong.
No, it's great. There's definitely not any sort of impropertuity. It's definitely fine.
Also, Trip's name
qualified.
Trip's name gets explained. It's stupid. Like, that's a dumb reason to be called Trip because he's triple. It's Trip. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Your name is Trip because you're an engineer. So, that's just an engineering kind of name.
You're just mad about it.
I am mad about it.
Everything, every single like that.
Every single decision this episode made was terrible.
Oh my god. Such a hater.
So a few hours later, AG joins Archer and Trip to commiserate on their program getting shut down. AG, however, says that the Vulcans are right. There's definitely something wrong with the air engine. Definitely not his fault. Trip and Archer start fighting back, saying that pilot error was the real cause. AG says that the real problem was that Archer's dad just designed a lousy engine. So Archer sucker punches him and starts a bar fight.
I like how Trip, if you watch, he immediately is like, oh shit, and grabs the beer so that no one spills anything while they're in this fucking fight.
Good looking at
priorities. Yeah. So as previously mentioned, after watching the fight unfold for way too long, Ruby finally starts ordering. Yeah. Ruby finally orders the Starfleet officers to restrain Archer and AG and break up the fight.
Which is good, because Archer was losing the fuck out of that fight. He was not doing well.
No, he was not. Which is funny because, back in the present, T'Pol, even asks, who's going to win the fight? But yeah, their shuttle pod that they're in starts getting some system fluctuations, some power fluctuations. T'Pol's a little worried about their safety, but Archer reflects that the one thing AG taught him was that nothing gets done unless you don't take a little risk.
He tells T'Pol, have a little faith, T'Pol, and I went, faith of the heart.
That's right. Yeah, so flashback again to AG clearing out his locker and kicking a box over to Archer so he could do the same.
He's like, there's no use hanging around. Dude, you're in the military. Were you reassigned or not? You live here unless you don't. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna leave. No, you're not. What?
Just gonna go AWOL.
He got orders.
Yeah.
Did he get orders? I don't think he did.
I mean, didn't say he did, but
Archer was certainly not acting like they got orders.
Maybe his order was clear out your locker. I don't know. So yeah, Archer, however, shows up with a copy of the telemetry from AG's flight and thinks that he knows of a way that they can account for the engine shortcomings. So naturally, the two of them then begin a plot to steal the other NX test ship, NX Beta, to prove that the warp engine was safe. Oh, that would have been cooler. Yeah, why isn't it Bravo?
Because no one who writes Star Trek understands how the military works.
So anyway.
Because every single time this episode had to make a decision, it was the wrong decision.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I think it's a bit extreme.
Yeah, so back in the present, we get Archer asking T'Pol to queue up a few more of the charges that Trip had made. T'Pol also points out that it seems weird that Captain Dewar here would need to be convinced to do something so dramatic as steal a spaceship, which... Good on her for calling
Good point.
him out.
Yeah, that's no one disagrees, T'Pol. Nicely done.
No. They fire off the charges. Again, fireworks, but no Christmas tree. So we get another flashback. Trip is helping Archer and AG get things ready with the other test ship. Get a corny joke about Archer hiring Trip when he gets his first ship. Then we jump to Forrest getting an alert from another officer that the NX Beta is in flight. They don't know who's flying it. Such a mystery. Who could it be?
Ooh.
AG, inside of the cockpit, insists that Archer take the flight stick, seeing as how the last one was his.
Okay, so nobody is involved in the launch of this fucking thing. Like, there's a whole ass gantry system, and there's just nobody is needed for that. It's just one dude on a laptop in the garage is all you need to launch this ship.
It's the future, man.
Yeah, it's future. All you need. I do find it a bit odd that there was literally nobody around an experimental ship.
at Starfleet Academy, no less. They are in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And like no cameras, nothing.
Nah.
Just like that. Well, yeah. Well, you know, in the year 20,
we've talked about this before. Like anytime there's a mystery on a board a starship, there's conveniently very little like video record of anything happening.
In the year 2150, all of the military on Earth just like runs on the honor system.
Yep.
It's utopia. We don't need to have proof. It's fine.
Yeah, service is optional. Like, no one's going to do it with ulterior motives. It's fine.
Nobody would ever do that.
And like we're talking. I need to make this very clear. This is not like a tiny little rig. We're talking like a 40-foot tower that this thing sleds up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Robots, man.
Robots.
So Forrest gives them a call. Demands that they land immediately, so AG just shuts off the comms.
By the way, the last time that Starfleet will ever use seatbelts in this scene right here.
Yeah, right. They wind up getting that same destabilization problem that AG had during the first flight after passing Warp 2. But AG gets the intermix working, and they make it to a stable Warp 2.5. Once they return back to Earth, Forrest dresses them down in front of the Vulcans, but AG and Archer argue that they should not shut down the NX program and that they have proven that it's safe, by making weird alterations in the middle of a flight. Like, totally fine.
Hey, it works. Shut up.
But, did it work, though?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't understand. First of all, these motherfuckers would have been fired. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. But, also, it kind of proved everyone's point. If it, the whole purpose of the engine is that, it runs properly. But instead of that, yeah, if your plane has to be literally held together by a dude on the wing, then it's not working. Even if you're well, I guess we just have to make sure we have a wing holder on every fucking flight. That's not an operable airplane. So if the engine literally requires a fucking geriatric Buck Rogers here to dial in the fucking anti-matter intermix every single time they cross an arbitrary warp threshold, then the engine doesn't work.
Look,
you need to redesign it.
That type of thinking is not going to fly here at Boeing, okay? Get out.
You keep your mouth shut, Chris. We'll get assassinated like that dude. There it goes.
Oh, we killed Chris.
Yep, I killed him.
So back in the present, Archer relays that the rest of the NX program up to Enterprise is what was officially recorded on the books, unlike some of this mess that was kept off the books to, I guess, not scare the Vulcans. I don't know. They fire off the last of their 2 charges, and they finally see the dark matter nebula start to light up in the reaction. It's very pretty. And again, I appreciate that they actually let us see the science. Because ever since that volcano planet, I've been really salty anytime they skip it.
Well, they certainly didn't blow their CGI budget on the fucking flashback shit, so yeah.
It's pretty.
So Archer tells T'Pol that AG and him were the last 2 captain candidates for Enterprise, but Forrest wound up picking Archer. We get another shot in the 602. I guess this is the 2050 part here, Chris, with AG congratulating Archer before leaving, saying that he'd see him out there. Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
he did.
He did. T'Pol reminds Archer that they need to return to make their rendezvous with Enterprise, and after docking, T'Pol recommends naming the discovery the Robinson Nebula in honor of AG. It's very touching.
Trip gets in a good fucking zinger.
What was Trip's zinger here?
Yeah, he's like, how was the show? And Archer was like, it's good, you should have been there. And Trip would be like, I'll remember to ask next time. Which is funny because he straight up asked at the beginning of the episode, like, can I come? And Archer's like, no, Trip, shut your fucking mouth. I gotta be sad.
The only person allowed to come with me is Porthos.
Should have taken Porthos, of course.
Yeah, so
why didn't he take Porthos? It's basically a fucking, like, emotional support dog.
I know. Oh,
want
man,
to
I
deal
wonder,
with the doggy duty.
wonder if Porthos is certified for that. It's like the only thing that keeps Archer stable in deep space.
That's why he got to be on the ship, because Starfleet couldn't refuse the dog under the ADA regulations.
So anyway, what'd you guys think of this one?
Well, I feel like I've been keeping my opinion very close to my chest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'm annoyed, and here's the thing. I'm annoyed because the stuff I was seeing was like, it's like Star Trek meets the right stuff. And I'm realizing that, like, it's because these people either didn't actually see the right stuff or got the wrong message from the right stuff because they suck. Like, this flashback was all about how, like, one or two douche nozzles can save the day. That's not what the right stuff was about. Like, this was just shit. And, like, I don't understand what the appeal here is.
Okay. So I don't think it was shit. I don't think it was particularly good, but I also don't think it was particularly bad. I thought it was fine. Like,
See, I actually really like this episode.
God damn it, Rob.
Well, like, I don't know.
Rob's I was hoping they'd go to Carbon Creek while they were flying back over.
Yeah. No, I just like episodes of Enterprise that actually deal with the characters. I feel like it's where the show is the strongest. And
so just Archer then.
Yeah. I mean, they had Trip.
But he wasn't on screen enough to actually have any character.
He was pretty minor. Yeah, he didn't it wasn't any really development for him or anything like that.
But Archer was just a douchey douche the whole time. What development did we get out of him?
The douchey douche.
Well,
why?
Like, we got to see T'Pol kind of there to help like him manage his grief and get through the problem.
I think Stanford, I think the problem is you were told this was Star Trek meets the right stuff, and you're viewing it through that lens.
That's a lens that everyone on the internet told me to view it through. This is not like...
The benefit I had is I've never even seen the right stuff. So.
Also that for me as well. So I have no preconceptions there to apply to this episode, so that's probably why we're having a differing opinion here.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was fine. Like, I didn't think it was, like, amazing or anything like that, but it was fine.
I thought it was above average. I gave this one a 4.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's the 3 for me.
I'm trying to decide if it's a 1 or a 2. Like, I wrote down
brutal,
2,
man.
but now that I've been, talking about it, I'm like, man, every fucking... And I had to watch it twice.
One worthy.
And every fucking time, they made a... God damn it. Every single thing about this episode was fucking stupid. Except for the Dark Matter Nebula. That was fine.
So it's a 5 from Stanford.
I'll allow it to be a 2.
Great. We appreciate your sacrifice.
It's fucking bullshit. It's just shit. I'm starting to realize that the people who are like the top 10 episodes of Enterprise, like, oh, you don't like things. Like, you don't know what TV is. Like, you don't know how stories are supposed to be told.
All right, well, speaking of TV, we'll be back for this week's deep dive to talk about a little TV. All right, so welcome back, everybody. We're now going to begin a deep dive segment that will continue to make Stanford furious.
Nice.
So
I'll keep my angry eyes on.
While we were watching this episode, I kept looking at the actor that was playing A.G. Robinson, and I was like, I know his voice from somewhere. I didn't recognize him. I recognized his voice, and I couldn't figure out where it was from. It's from The Big Bang Theory.
Ew, God, what a shit show. Fucking hell, Rob. God damn it.
Yeah, he plays...
Who is he in that?
He plays Penny's dad, Wyatt.
Oh.
And also, while researching this, I found out they never tell you what Penny's last name is in the entire show.
That's weird.
That is really weird.
Yeah, that's called sexism. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna.
I'm just gonna let Stanford have that one.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like, well, I mean, that absolutely is probably what's going on there.
Her whole character is a lot of that. So
yeah, it's just So anyway, overall, I enjoyed The Big Bang Theory. Stanford, I know you're not a fan. I don't know where you stand on this, Chris.
Oh, I have very specific opinions about that show.
There's
like I've watched some of it, and it's in general not to my liking.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. It's got a large part of like geek culture from that time period, though. So
I like the Wii.
I like the Wii. I thought it might be fun to go through and talk about all the crossover between characters, because there's quite a few. Star Trek lore plays a big part in Big Bang Theory. There's a lot of prior Star Trek actors guest starring on The Big Bang Theory. So we're going to take a look at all of them that I could find. Starting with the original series, we get both George Takei and William Shatner making appearances on it. Shatner, surprisingly, doesn't even wind up on the show until the very last season. He winds up playing in a D&D session hosted by Will Wheaton that includes most of the regular Big Bang Theory cast. George Takei, who plays Sulu in the original series, he appears as a dream version of himself when Howard's like trying to work out, I guess, partially his own sexuality. I can't remember her name, but the girl who plays Starbuck from Battlestar also appears in this episode. And when he starts questioning whether or not he might be bisexual, George Takei shows up and helps giving him a little guidance, I guess. I don't know. Leonard Nimoy also, while doesn't actually ever appear on the show, he does provide a voiceover for a mint-condition Spock action figure that Sheldon wrestles with opening to play with. There's also
the actress is Katie Sackhoff, who plays
Katie
Starbuck.
Sackhoff. Thank you, producer Mariah. There's also a pretty famous scene in Big Bang Theory where Penny comes back with a napkin after having served Leonard Nimoy, gets it signed for Sheldon for Christmas. And he like breaks down and actually hugs her because he likes it so much. From Next Generation, there's of course Will Wheaton. He plays Wesley Crusher on TNG. Also hosts the Ready Room podcast from like season 2 on. I think he's still the current host for it as well. I haven't watched any episodes lately. But he's had numerous guest appearances on the show as a fictionalized version of himself, plays an antagonist to Sheldon early on before becoming a friend. There's also Brett Spiner. He plays Data on TNG, shows up at a birthday party for Will Wheaton, and winds up opening a Wesley Crusher action figure that Will had given Sheldon as an apology for some perceived slight that I couldn't recall or find any evidence of. He then gets added to Sheldon's enemy list, which winds up quite lengthy by the end of the show. There's also LeVar Burton, who plays Geordie LaForge on TNG. He made 3 appearances in Big Bang Theory. Once as a guest to a party that Sheldon was hosting. Didn't actually wind up meeting him there, but then he twice shows up as a guest on Sheldon's Fun with Flags video podcast that he runs with Amy. From Deep Space Nine, Julian Bashir's father, Richard. He's the guy that was involved in like the gene therapy that Bashir had.
Right.
And he like winds up taking the fall for him. He plays Raj's dad in Big Bang Theory, VM Kuthrapali. Then there's Mark Haralick. He plays a Devore inspector named Kashik. Could not find a pronunciation for this name. But you guys probably recognize him. He's the inspector that shows up on in like Commandeer's Voyager and has the fondness for Tchaikovsky. Like he's playing it over the intercom for the whole crew to keep him calm. Yep. He played Dr. Eric Gablehauser, the head of the physics department at Caltech early on. Pasha Lynchnikov. Apparently, he is a Romulan commander in the first Kelvin timeline movie, Star Trek. Also appeared in Big Bang Theory as cosmonaut Dimitri alongside Howard and real-life astronaut Mike Massimino on their trip up to the space station. And here's where Jerry O'Connell comes in. Jerry O'Connell is the voice actor for Jack Ransom in Lower Decks. He also plays Sheldon's older brother, George, in Big Bang Theory. And last but not least, we've got Brian Posehn. He's a comedian. Apparently voice acted a couple of the Pac-Led in Lower Decks. In Big Bang Theory, he plays a Caltech geologist named Burt Kibler. So yeah, clearly a lot of love for the show. People who wrote Big Bang Theory, of course, Star Trek being such a big thing in nerd culture, had to delve into a lot of the lore there. Makes frequent mentions inside of the show as well. Yeah, a lot of crossover.
Plenty of Star Trek crossover, but couldn't be bothered with some like healthy autistic representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been nice, huh? So we'll be back.
God, I hate that show. Fucking hell.
What show do you like?
Should this episode be called Stanford Hates Everything?
There are plenty of shows I liked. Okay,
You said you liked The Expanse, right?
The Expanse was pretty good. After I finally gave it a chance. I enjoyed. There were things I would have done a little differently, but like it all held together pretty well. I liked it. Let's see. I like Schitt's Creek. Like I like an occasional sitcom, and that one was pretty fun.
Did you like Battlestar?
I did when I watched it. I haven't seen it like as a more discerning adult, so I don't know if I still like it. But I did when I watched it in like college.
You mean as an ornery old man?
Yes, that's what he meant.
Okay.
I like that Watchmen series that HBO put out. That shit was good as
really
hell.
good. That was so
fucking
good.
Fantastic. It's probably one of the best pieces of television I've ever watched.
It was so fucking good.
Oh, man,
it's so weird that they decided yeah, we're not going to do it anymore. It's fine.
It's good because they probably would have ruined it if they kept going. Like it's good because it ends and they're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else in recent history has been up there for me? I really love Andor.
That was
Andor was good. Andor was very good. What else? Oh, no, hold on. This is a good, because fuck Big Bang Theory. This is a good discussion. What else is good? Trying to think of like what other, because non-Star Trek, right? So like what other shows have I watched? Oh, did y'all watch the Golden Compass show? That one was good.
The Golden Compass.
Oh yeah, on HBO. That was
having been a very big fan of the books, the show was very good.
Oh man, that's still one of my favorite series of all time.
Yeah,
it's so good.
You like that superhero show?
The Boys?
The Boys.
Oh, The Boys is good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I know Rob doesn't believe me, but the first season of Halo was really good. I haven't watched the second season yet.
It's
like I have no horse in the video game race, like I don't give a shit about the video game or any of its lore. So like I just kind of watched it as just a generic sci-fi show, and it was fine. Like it was totally fine.
I enjoyed the first season. I don't want to like color it too much for you. There's definitely some things.
I have strong enough opinions of my own. Like you'll be fine.
It's just they made some decisions. And like certain things like didn't make sense, and like the main character was like super angsty about everything the entire season, which was annoying. It was fine. I did not enjoy it as much as I did the first season.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Did y'all actually finish The Expanse, or y'all have only watched like a couple seasons of it, right?
I've only watched a couple, yeah.
I've seen the first 2 seasons. I've actually got it on my watch list to pick that up.
Oh again. Yeah, y'all should watch all of it because it definitely it kind of gets better in a weird way. Not in a weird way.
I enjoyed the first 2 seasons, so
yeah, I did too. I really liked it.
Right? Yeah, and I think you'll like the other seasons better. Like it does get better, like objectively. There's a better pacing to it, and there's the stories are more interesting. Yeah, because I want to talk about the last season, but I can't really because y'all haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I don't know. Mariah's been watching Grey's Anatomy. She's been enjoying that.
Like, I know you said you don't do sitcoms that much, but you really do need to watch The Good Place.
Yeah, you do.
Ugh.
Also, one of my all-time favorite TV shows.
It's
Yeah,
so
but you
good.
really like Big Bang Theory too, so like I have to really like take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I really like Big Bang Theory. I thought it was fun, but it's not something that like I crave reruns of.
Like, I would say it definitely, it's the entire series is good. I would say it gets better and better as it goes on too.
Yeah. The ending is great.
Yes.
It's like, it's perfect.
Fantastic. Watch it.
Watch it. Show
At
did
this
not
point-
overstay its welcome. It was great.
At this point, it's like a battle of the wills, right? Because the more people are like, you have to watch this, I'm like, I'm still not. Like at this point, I'm kind of proud of it.
Oh my god! You know what other show I know that you like that just wound up on Netflix, and I'm excited because I can actually watch it now. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
No.
Nine was good. It's funny because like as hard as they tried, they did still fall into some propaganda nonsense. But like they're better about it, so
Yeah.
it's not as bad.
Yeah. They also like specifically address a lot of those issues, especially the later
Yeah.
seasons too. So I
Yeah,
thought that
but
was
there is
good.
a level of like, even by specifically addressing it, they're kind of belittling it because it's like a 30-minute sitcom. Like, you know, like there's like so much they can
Understandable.
really talk about. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
it's like
that
if you're-
show definitely ended when it needed to. It probably could have ended a season earlier in order
That's
to
probably
avoid
true.
a lot of that.
I still
yeah.
enjoyed the last season, but
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it, but you have to be wary of that kind of crap, you know.
sure.
Oh,
It was a cop
other
show. I mean, it's you have to do it at this point though. Like you can't not make a thing, even if you're a 30-minute comedy about it. I mean, you have to do something about it. You can't just ignore it.
Law and Order doesn't because it's just pure propaganda.
Well, yeah, sure, that's what I mean. If you don't want to be pure propaganda,
the other show I know you like and you've been talking about recently was The Orville.
Oh yeah, I finished that shit. That was good shit.
yeah, that's a good show.
That did not back off. I think they're filming the 4th season.
Oh, are they doing
Nice.
another one? That's awesome.
I think I saw that, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
All right. Well, you guys want to do some wrap this up, do some trivia stuff?
Yeah. So there you go, internet. Let it no longer be doubted. There is media that Stanford actually enjoys.
Oh man.
All right, we'll be back for Potpourri with Chris.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, so to wrap up today's episode, we are going to do volume number 2 of Name That Captain. I'm going to supply some quotes, and you're going to name the captain who that quote comes from.
What are our ranges?
Yeah, we got pretty much the main captains from both past and present Star Trek. So Kirk, Picard, Cisco, Janeway, Pike, Burnham. That's everybody. So Archer.
Heard
yeah.
again.
So the normal ones.
Okay, so not like Sulu or
No, I didn't. There's just
Riker.
like so few
right.
like available quotes. I didn't want to include them.
Okie dokie.
Number 1. Leave bigotry in your quarters. There's no room for it on the bridge.
Burnham?
Okay, hold on. Leave bigotry in your quarters. There's no room for it on the bridge. So what show would have had someone who would have been like an asshole like that? Man, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Kirk.
You would go correctly, Stanford.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, look at that.
It's
Kirk.
it's kind of an old timey way to say that. It was kind of
Yeah.
what I was going for
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like it's just I don't know. It's just an awkward phrasing that would seem more like alive back in the '60s than it does today.
Mhm.
I was thinking that it might have been about either Ash or Saru. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Who's Ash?
The guy who winds up in Section 9.
Oh, that guy, the Klingon genetic dude. Okay,
Yeah.
Section 9, Section 31,
Or 31, yeah.
Section
All right.
9. Is that the Men in Black?
I think it might be the one that popped into my head.
All right.
That might be.
This
Section
is what
13.
is to be human, to make yourself more than you are.
Oh, man.
Fuck. Archer?
I want to say it's either Picard or Cisco. Let's go with Cisco. Sounds very
Man,
philosophical.
You almost had it. It was Picard.
No!
Oh, man. It seems, I don't know. It's a little douchey to be Picard, but I guess.
Yeah.
No, they constantly opine about stuff like that on those shows.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. All right. That might be the most important thing to understand about humans. It's the unknown that defines our existence. We are constantly searching, not just for answers to our questions, but for new questions.
Janeway?
Read it again, please.
That might be the most important thing to understand about humans. It's the unknown that defines our existence. We are constantly searching, not just for answers to our questions, but for new questions.
Can you read it again, but in a Scottish accent?
God, it does sound like something Janeway would say.
Yeah.
Maybe to like 7 of 9. Yeah, I'll go with Janeway too.
You would both be incorrect. It was Cisco.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. That was my second guess because it had the structure that he would like when he
Right.
monologues. There, he gets a cadence to his voice that like you can hear. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. There are 4 lights.
All right. So I believe that is yeah, it's Picard.
Yeah.
Okay. I had to give you a gimme. You can use logic to justify almost anything. That's its power and its flaw.
Spock.
Archer?
It's not
Did you say Spock?
Oh, is that what you said? I thought you said fuck.
No, I said Spock.
Well, Spock's not a captain, so.
Hold on.
Oh, they're captains. I wasn't listening.
Good to know.
I'm
Who's
gonna say
Spock?
I'm gonna say Captain Daddy then.
No. Burnham.
Hold on. You can use logic to justify. I know I've heard that quote relatively recently. Oh, you know what? It must be Janeway then.
All right, so you said Janeway. Rob, you said who?
I'm thinking Burnham.
Janeway is correct.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and the only reason I know that is because like I know I heard that quote, and the only thing I've watched recently other than Enterprise has been Liam and I have been watching Voyager. So yeah. Okay. Yes, actually yes, because it was this whole thing where Tuvok fucking defied her orders, and she was so fucking mad about it. God, she's such a good actor. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
All right. It feels like we're being pecked to death by ducks.
What?
I just love this out of context quote.
Pecked to death by ducks.
Yep.
Let's go with Pike.
Rob?
Oh. Pecked to death by ducks. Pecked to death by ducks. I don't know. Archer?
Nope, it was Janeway. It was in reference to like some attacks by the Kazon.
Oh. We haven't gotten to that episode yet.
Okay. The only way to defeat fear is to tell it no.
No. Bad fear.
No. Bad fear.
Is to tell it no.
That sounds super preachy. I think it was Burnham.
No, I'm going to go with Pike on that one too.
Rob is correct. It was Burnham.
Fuck.
Oh.
I was thinking that one where he was just like where they were like scared and like they couldn't remember anything on that one planet.
Oh yeah. I learned the best way to get in a cold stream was to jump right in.
Cisco?
So who?
He said Cisco.
Oh, Cisco. I think he said disco. I'm like, what? Like Discovery?
Wait.
Jump.
Can I change my answer?
Yes.
I think it might have been Pike.
Okay, Stanford.
He's very outdoorsy.
So the problem is I can't just say Pike again because I've said it for the last 2 and that would just be weird. So I'm going to say Kirk.
You should have said Pike because Pike was correct.
Well,
Yes.
I couldn't say Pike, so.
I was just thinking, like, because was it Montana? Was that where he was at
Yeah,
the beginning
it
of
was
the show?
Montana. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. They used to say that if man was meant to fly, he'd have wings.
Kirk?
They used to say if man was meant to fly, he'd have wings. Janeway.
It is Kirk. Man, Rob, you're on a roll. That's 3 in a row.
Oh, man.
I don't like this game anymore. I'm really bad at this game. I think I was bad the first time, too.
Oh, shit. All right. Dying lets you off the hook. The question is, are you willing to live for your people? Live the role they want you to play? That's what they need from you right now.
Oh,
Dying lets you off the hook.
this feels very Bajori, so I'm gonna say Cisco.
I was also gonna say Cisco.
You were both correct. It was Cisco.
Okay.
Yes.
It's also part of the phrasing, because I'm like, okay, who's got that philosophy, but also is casual enough to say off the hook? Because that's not what fucking Picard would say, you know?
Right, yeah, definitely. I'm your captain. That means I can't always be your friend. Understand?
This feels like the part in TNG where Data has to play captain for a day.
Say it again?
I'm your captain. That means I can't always be your friend. Understand?
Kirk?
Kirk.
Janeway.
Is it really?
Oh.
That was Janeway.
Oh, who she was talking to there?
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Oh, shit. I need to send you on a little scavenger hunt.
I've still got the website pulled off. I pulled it off from, so I should be able to search it pretty quickly. Speaking to 709.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you had the right relationship, Rob. It was just in a different show.
Hmm.
All right. We like to think that right until the very last instant, somehow, some way, we'll cheat death.
That feels like a very Kirk thing to say.
I don't like this game.
You started off solid, but
Yeah, I also think that sounds like Kirk.
you were one captain off. It was Pike.
Ah.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right.
Yeah, he's referring to his knowing he's gonna.
Knowing he's gonna what, Chris?
I was gonna say die, but I guess not die.
No, but he certainly acts like it because God forbid we be disabled on TV.
Oh my God. The acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force of our lives. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity.
Do I get bonus points if I can tell you exactly who he's talking to, what year it is, and what the scene is?
I'll give you an extra bonus point, sure.
So that would be Picard. In First Contact, he is talking to Lily as after she asks, "You no money? You mean you don't get paid?" Which is one of the greatest lines in all of Star Trek.
Rob, what's your answer?
I said Picard already.
Oh, you did? Okay. So it was Picard, and yes, I'll give you a bonus point for your ridiculous level of detail.
To be fair, I just watched that movie not that long ago with Mariah.
But all he talks about is how much he hates Star Trek.
I say I don't hate I promise I don't hate Star Trek. It's funny because I don't like the Borg, yet the First Contact is my favorite Star Trek movie.
And Voyager is your favorite Star Trek series.
Also kind of funny, yeah.
There is no such thing as the unknown, only things temporarily hidden.
Spock.
Just gonna shout Spock every so often.
Only things temporarily.
It does feel like that era, though, so I'm going to go with Kirk.
Stanford?
There is no such thing as the unknown, only those things that are temporarily hidden. Picard.
It was Kirk.
Yes. Haha.
Hey, I got my bonus point. I gotta rest on that laurel.
You're welcome, Rob. You're welcome.
Yeah, that was a nice little help there.
I believed that our survival was more important than our principles. I was wrong.
That sounds either Archer or Janeway. I believed our survival was more important than our principles, but I was wrong. I think that might be Janeway.
Oh.
Chris is slamming that 0 button next to mine.
Our survival was more important than our principles. This feels very philosophical again. I kind of want to go back to either Picard or Cisco. I'm going to say Cisco.
Burn him.
Oh, okay. She is the writing for her was so all over the place that
Yes.
any of these could have been her, you know?
Yeah, it was definitely. Right up until the end, life is to be worn gloriously.
Boy, that sounds like Kirk.
Is that your answer?
I don't think that sounds like Kirk.
Life is to be worn gloriously? Right up until the end, life is to be worn gloriously. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's a Cisco Ethan. Fuck it. I'll go with Cisco.
See, I'm thinking the other way. I think that this is gonna make you mad. I think that might be Pike.
It is 100% Pike.
Yes.
Why would that make me mad?
Because I think he might be talking about his potential future.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake with this guy.
Now, this is how I prefer the Borg, in pieces.
Janeway?
Boy, I don't think that's something she would say. Hold on. Now, this is how I prefer the Borg, in pieces. What circumstance would she have said that? Or any of them? It doesn't feel like Picard's a little too callous.
Yeah, and she's got the most exposure to him. That's why I'm thinking it's her.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Try to think of where else they would have shown up that any other captain would have even had a remark on them. This is how I prefer the Borg. Pieces. I guess I'll go with Janeway.
Janeway is correct.
It must have been when they came upon like a broken cube or something.
Probably, yeah. All right. Starfleet could have sent a probe out here to make maps and take pictures, but they didn't. They sent us.
They sent us.
Explore with our own senses.
Archer.
Rob?
Yeah, I feel like we've seen that episode in Enterprise.
Yeah, it was like
No,
2 or 3
Archer.
episodes ago. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
it was Archer. The irony is, I have the feeling his cause is worth fighting for.
Kirk.
I have the feeling his cause is worth fighting for. Oh, man. Yeah, I'll go Kirk too. Fuck it.
Nope, it was Archer.
Oh, yes. Okay, that guy. Okay.
Yeah, on the episode with the beach volleyball in the same planet.
Yeah, with
yeah.
Carson.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
Yep,
Yeah.
that guy. Let's make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise.
All right, so it's probably not Cisco or Burnham.
Or Janeway.
Yeah.
Or Janeway.
Let's make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise.
This feels like a very Kirk thing to say.
It also feels like a very Archer thing to say.
Ooh, oh yeah, it does. He loves being famous.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm going to go with Archer.
gonna go with Kirk.
It's honestly surprised me, but this was Picard.
What?
Yeah, that is a Picard quote.
Fucking loser.
All right, and that wraps it up. Let me see. Let me do some quick tallying here.
Oh, I think Rob squeaked ahead.
Beep boop boop beep beep boop boop beep.
Boop 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 boop.
Throwing some calculating sound effects there in post.
I basically just did because I'm a fucking Foley artist.
By a score of 11-9, Rob is the winner.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I
Jesus,
did
he's
it.
so excited.
Good job, Rob.
I did it.
You're getting better at this trivia thing.
I'm
Congratulations.
so fucking
Yeah.
bad. I'm so fucking bad. It's like, I remember, like, the one I was most confident on are the ones that, like, I heard within the last 2 weeks. Like,
Oh,
shit.
man.
I'm more of a general knowledge kind of trivia guy.
Sure. Yeah. Fuck words and people and what they
Fuck
say.
quotes and names and shit. Ugh.
All right. Well, just as a reminder, please rate, review, recommend us to your friends. It helps a lot. And unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll catch everybody next time.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.